been seeing bees. I put some jelly in these jars. And that old orange out here, look at these bees I've attracted. I put it out here by my garden. Excuse me, y'all. The cottonwood trees after me. Don't get me. They're eating that great jelly. Look at that. They must have a nest close by. I haven't seen bees like this in years. Keep getting on my hand. They're not stinging me, but they keep crawling on me. It tickles. Lordy, that's a bunch of them, isn't it? They kept getting on my hummingbird feeder, and I thought, well, how can I distract them from the hummingbird feeder? So I put grape jelly over here. The hummingbird feeder's way over yonder on that porch where the flag is. And we're out here by the garden. I'd like to hold this closer down there, but I don't want them crawling on my hand. It feels weird. Boy, they are busy, ain't they? You talk about a busy bee. But my squash and okra and different plants is starting to come up over here. My tomatoes, all my tomatoes. And we'll need pollinators. And I have fussed the last few years because we ain't had no bees. So the Lord has blessed me with bees. That tomato plant's now about 4 foot tall. It has blooms on it. That's my fig tree back there. My elderberry. One of them's here. I have some more back on the back side. But cucumbers and squash and okra and all that's coming up. So when we get those blooms, that'll be good. Got all these vegetables coming up in here. That's two of my okras. I gathered my peppermint and spearmint and been drying it to save back to make tea and add to other drinks for the summer. Of course, picking it fresh. Ain't nothing like picking it fresh. This is all my bok choy coming up here. There's a little weed. Boy. Excuse me, y'all. That cottonwood tree is really after me. I had to go out and check on the baby chickens. I had to give them some water. I was just walking around. It feels good out here, and I was like, man, look at those bees. Get off of me, it tickles. I'm watching them and not watching the phone. I'm not giving you a very good picture, am I? Wow, that's amazing. Well, we got pollinators. Thank the Lord for that. Everybody's like, kill them, spray them. I'm like, no way. No way. We need the pollinators. Aren't these getting pretty? Look at that one. It's purple and blue. It looks really purple in this camera. It's gonna be real pretty when it gets in full bloom. This one, y'all look, one pom-pom of that's as big as my hand. That thing is huge. I bet that thing's 10 inches wide. Isn't that pretty? These are just cuttings. I've told y'all. I break one piece off like that. Break those leaves off. Stick that in the ground, and where that joint is, it'll root. Keep it wet. Nothing to it. That's a baby one I put out last year. And it's blooming. And here's the mama one over here. I've trimmed her way back. Her limbs were all the way over here over these hostas. I have set these all over my yard this year. These are white. These are Annabelle. This is Annabelle. She only blooms white. I have several of these in containers, and I have put numerous ones down the creek bank and around the yard, and I have some over on the side yard in that fenced area. That's one of the angel trumpets. The red banana. And y'all, this is, the camera does not do this justice. Look how big that is next to my foot. I bet that's a good 2 foot or more wide, some of these, two or more foot. Now those light green ones, those will get bigger than these on the front. I have, when it makes a baby, I've been digging the babies up the last few years and setting them around the yard. But I didn't dig any up this year, so those should start growing and get really big. Those, I put those behind because they're supposed to get bigger than the ones on the front. So we'll see. There's another angel trumpet. And that's called a blue hosta. It's not a true blue, but it has a blue hue, especially in the sunlight. But see how big that one is compared to this one. I dug part of this one up last year and broke it into pieces and set them around over in the side yard. So this one would be that big if I had not divided it, but I divided it last year and moved some of them around as I did those with the yellow center right there. I don't even know how many's in here. I keep saying I'm gonna come out here and count them, and I don't do it. I just put that one there a few weeks ago to fill in that spot. There's a little one. And that is a hibiscus coming up right there. There is a, I don't know if that's a Texas star hibiscus. We'll find out soon. There's a hibiscus. All of those will bloom in the summer. I have a lily of the Niles, variegated ginger root. That's my copper king. Y'all, my mind just goes blank. Hibiscus, that's the copper king right there by the banana. These are the giant upright elephant ears. I put these in here last year, so they're just taking off. That's a new hosta I just got from Amazon, so we'll see what it does. And that's a blue one. This is the copper king. Something's eating on it. It has a giant pink bloom. It's beautiful. But y'all, this flower bed has been here just July. Well, no, now it's 3 years, because I put it in actually before I moved over here. I started working on it. So it's been in 3 years. 3 years, and these were tiny. If you go back and look at some of my old videos, all those hostas were tiny pieces where I dug up like a big hosta, and I might make 10 or 15, break it into 10 or 15 pieces and set them out. And look how that front row has already totally come together over there. Now I'm trying to fill the rest of this in. So this is one I set out this year. That's one I set out this year. That's one I set out this spring. I've set out a good many on the back side. I'm trying to get it all to fill in. There's a red banana. There's another little hydrangea. Here's another, y'all, why do I lose that word every time I start to say it? Hibiscus. That's another one right there. I just put that little piece out over here. It's ginger root. And now we're back to the hydrangeas. Those are all 2 years old. Margarita hosta. This is one of my sugar maples I dug up from across the road. It's about 3 foot tall now. It's been out 1 year. And then we have all kinds of lilies, crinum lilies and day lilies and all kinds of stuff down through here. This is a small tree I tied up. It was leaning down the creek bank. I'm trying to save it. It's some kind of elm tree, I think. But I'm trying to save it because we had one right there that died. So I'm trying to save it. It come up. The Lord planted it. So I'm trying to leave it there because I like for this creek bank to be fully shaded. That's why I planted so many trees down it. There is another angel trumpet, Texas star, my weeping willow tree that I planted from a little branch. Y'all, I apologize for coughing, but this, I'm gonna have to go in. This pollen is really getting to me out here. There's a hydrangea, and there's a hydrangea. There's a plum tree, and I have another plum tree back over here behind me. But we got all cannas and hostas and purple stem, upright elephant ears. This is a little crepe myrtle I planted last summer. Y'all look, that thing is way above my head. It's not gotta be 9 or 10 foot tall at the highest point. This is my little oak tree that the Lord planted, and I'm gonna leave it here. And this is the mulberry tree that came up, and we're gonna leave it here. That's the little sugar maple, because I want trees. When they put this new bridge in, they took all my trees out over here. So I want some more trees back over here. That's why I planted the crepe myrtle, because I knew it would grow fast. And then these will grow in some years. They'll be a good shade for me or for somebody. If I don't live here, it'll be nice for somebody. So there's the red flags or cannas. All the ferns and all kinds of stuff in here, y'all. I don't even know what all it is. There's a bunch of 4 o'clocks back there. Oh, I replanted some more banana trees over here with the cannas. The ones that I had down, they fell. The bank eroded. They fell down in the creek. So I got them and cut the tops off and replanted them up here on the hill. So we'll see how that goes. And then for those of you that's been watching the video about my swamp plant, y'all look at this. Remember, it was little bitty buds down in the leaf. Look at this shoot. And the cone grows real big, and then the yellow flower gets more, but that bloom gets huge. It gets really big. Y'all know I've been so excited about waiting for this to bloom. And this is the first time it's bloomed. I was showing my son this weekend. I said, I'm so proud of that ugly little plant. Because man, this is the third time I've planted it. The third time in like 6 years, and I finally got one. That's one plant. So every bloom will be seeds. So I'm hoping I can have more next year, because when it's a big group of them, they're beautiful. They're in front of some of our restaurants here in town, and that's the first time I've ever seen them. It took me forever to find out what they were. I Googled and looked at plants online, and nobody could ever tell me. And then finally, a friend of mine, she said it's called a swamp flower. I'm like, what? And sure enough, she had one, so I traded her. I had something, I don't know what she wanted, but I had something, hibiscus vine beans or something. And I got hibiscus vines. That's that vine that grows and blooms the bloom that looks like an orchid. They're coming up all down this railing. It'll have this railing covered up in the summer, but there's all kinds of 4 o'clocks down in there. So I've had a real hard time getting stuff to grow over here. So I had to turn to stuff that would grow almost like in desert land. And that's a shrimp plant. And those get really huge. If any of y'all ever go to Moody Gardens or down around Galveston, they have a lot of shrimp plants in their garden areas. And they get 6-8 foot tall. And y'all look at this little sugar maple putting out all this new growth. I think this one's growing more than the other ones. I don't know why, but it seems to be. My roses are fixing to bloom again. They bloom beautiful. I made a video about that a couple of months ago when they were in full bloom. Look at all this red. That's new growth. And I cut these suckers back a lot. And after they bloom this time, I'm gonna cut them back again. But this is my Rose of Sharon. Let me get on the other side maybe. That's a hibiscus. This is a little crepe myrtle that I planted. Trying to get more shade out in these sunny spots, because when the heat comes in the summer, it's deadly. Let's see if I can get this one for y'all. There's the Rose of Sharon, and she will be in full bloom anytime, because she is loaded with buds. You see that? She'll bloom all summer. This was a cutting that one of my customers, back when I did hair, she bought me about a 10-inch cutting, and I rooted it and grew this tree. I've just planted hostas over here. These are all get really big. There's another hibiscus, another angel trumpet. That's the Confederate rose. Everything's looking really good. My little Japanese maple's doing great. My son was looking at it the other day. These are all little plants I've got in containers over here, little cuttings, and if something breaks off, I stick it in a pot. And then one day I may decide where I want to put it, and I set it out. But I took these 2 cuttings of the Annabelle, trying to reap those my son wants. I got the original cutting from his house where he moved from. And there's some cuttings of the hydrangea, the other hydrangea, ginger root. I got spearmint, peppermint, purple elephant ears, Confederate rose. Y'all, this is some kind of fruit tree. I put the compost seeds and peelings and all that, in my beds. This tree has come up in that garden over there, and I don't know what it is, so I put it in this bucket. But it's a peach or a plum. I can tell from the leaf, but I don't know what it is. So I'm gonna keep it in that little pot till it gets a little bigger, and then I'll set it out in the yard somewhere. But it sprouted from the compost seeds. That's my coffee cup elephant ears. These are growing out from the house, but they grow up, and see, they have a little dip in them. That's why they're called coffee cup. I have coffee cup and teacup. Elephant ears. I love elephant ears. These are touch-me-nots. They're different colors. This is the hibiscus vine and heart vine. It'll grow all up on that wire in the summer. That's a spearmint, I think, in that pot. This video's going way too long, but it's just how it is when you got this many plants. That's my peppermint. It was all out here on my sidewalk the other day, and I cut it all back. I got it drying for tea. I'm gonna bag it up, use it for tea. Balloon flower. And these are all the ones that I told you I divided the blue ones. I planted them over here. See, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. But I moved all those cuttings over here last year, and look how pretty that's gotten. The bloom plant in that basket's fixing to bloom. That's an Annabelle cutting that I put over here last year, and look how big she's done got. She was one stem like this, and look how much she's grown in a year. I may have to move some of these hostas out when she gets real big, or I may have to keep her trimmed back because she'll get big. She'll get real big. But all these are doing great. I've had a real hard time getting this flower bed to grow, but this year it's finally looking like something. There's one of the touch-me-not blooming. Something been eating on that one. Here's one, a red, pink one, red one. I don't know what color that is. Fuchsia. I have that lilac pink, dark pink, and I have a light pink. Here's the light pink right here. Something's eating on those. I don't know what's eating on them. I'm gonna have to get on top of that. That's a baby Texas star. Upright elephant ears. Zinnia. Peruvian lily. Cosmos. Touch-me-not. This is daisies fixing to bloom. It's a Texas star. And touch-me-nots. That's all touch-me-nots, daisies. And on the outside of the fence, we have salvias. I have pink and red. I think mostly what's over here. And if y'all remember, every year I have a big that lemon squash on this fence, not squash, lemon cucumber on this fence, and it's all the cucumbers you can eat. I got a plant coming up there, I guess from a seed from last year. But these are all salvias. And then that vine down in there, that's the hyacinth bean vine. It'll grow all on this side of the fence in the summer. There's some red. Cosmos. Peruvian lilies. They're beautiful. So unique. I was walking one day by a house. These were by the lady's driveway, and I stopped and asked her what they were. And she said, "Would you like a bulb?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And it's like a little fingerling potato. Here's another shrimp plant over here. And there's a baby that come up from it right there. There's another little tree I planted. And she gave me one of those little potatoes. My son will be 47 this August, and he was 18 years old. And I've had them all this time, and you cannot kill them. I lived at this place and moved away for 20 something years, 23 or 24 years, and moved back, and those things were still living in the backyard. Back there in the chicken pen, there's the heart vine coming up on the mailbox. Those come up every year, and they'll bloom all summer long, so it kind of makes the mailbox a little more pretty. There's the wisteria growing on the fence. But this is it, y'all. This is it. And there's my new flag. My other flag tore up, so I went a few months ago and bought me a new one. I finally just broke down and went to Walmart one day, and I went to just get a flag. I decided I wanted a flag, and I got me one. So anyway, this is just a little walk about the yard this evening. I'm fixing to go in and sit with the pups. They're on the porch waiting for me. Y'all be blessed. Know you're loved. Jesus loves you more. Leave me a comment. Don't forget to say your prayers, and we'll see y'all on the next adventure. Look how pretty that is today. Isn't that beautiful? I can't wait till that gets really full. There was 2 different colors there, but I'm only seeing the one color. So I'm wondering if the other bush has died. But it's grown a lot since I put it there. I may have to get a larger trellis or have one built. So pretty. We're out walking before the rain comes in. Isn't that amazing how each one is different? How each flower is different. It's on the same bush.